Well, welcome, Family Matters. Kevin Peterson, Jay Staples. How are you, Kevin?
I'm great, man. How are you doing, buddy? It's good to see you.
Good. I mean, we're in the fall season. We had our summer break, I guess. Now we're doing the network shows. We all have different. So we haven't been on for a couple weeks, but anyway, good to be back. So
yeah, I missed you, Jay. My life is incomplete without my time with you.
Well, that's maybe the sweetest thing anyone has ever said to me this week. So I appreciate that. And I'm just going to take your word for it and believe you and not be sarcastic. So, I'm learning how to accept compliments or, like my sponsor always would say early on, when someone compliments you, just say thank you. Don't give them a story.
No. Don't deflect.
I was like, what? I was like, but I'm not looking good. I'm not feeling good. Well, just say thank you. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I see. You know what? You learn some things. God bless my sponsor. But anyway, we do this show to the best of our ability every week, and keep the questions coming. And our job here is to stump Kevin, but what I call the Family Whisperer. But it's those questions that you probably always have in your mind and looking for a place to ask them. We just load the questions. We don't attach a name to it, and we'll go from there. So, Kevin, What's going on? How are you? So,
I'm good.
Any burning desires within family-related stuff?
No.
Right.
I'm ready, man. I'm anxious to get to the questions. I've been waiting for this.
Jesus. So
let's go.
It's been a couple of weeks, and I did not do a good job of marking which ones. But anyway, you know what? If we ask it again, that's just God saying someone else needs to hear it. So, I didn't do a good job of either paraphrasing these. So we have asked our son to. Her son no longer lives with us. On and off, they said for the last 10 years, but it's been a year that he's not. They don't want him living with them. He's actively using. They've tried help. He's gone through several treatment centers. And she basically says, I'll just boil it down to this. Are you guys saying to just offer help and let him, kind of drown outside until he wants help? Because up to this point, he does not want help. And is it our job just to say, hey, we're here if you want to get help?
I love it when they answer their own question, okay, so that's the easy part.
But I understand that. I think they're saying that's really, really tough for them as a family.
So that's what I was going to say. It's easy to say, all right, well, you just let us know, and then you have to watch, and I understand that's the super, super hard part for the family. And that's why I think it's critical for the family to be, individual members of the family, especially mom and dad, or if a spouse or whatever, is to be doing their own work. You got to be doing your own therapy, trauma therapy, attachment therapy. You got to be doing some 12-step recovery. You got to be addressing what's going on inside you. So you can't sit around and wait for him to change to make you feel better. It's never going to happen. That's just not how it works. You have to get to a place where you're like, well, I've offered you everything I can offer you. I love you. And I will move mountains for you as soon as you're willing to participate. But if you're going to choose to continue your lifestyle, I have to choose to disengage.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. I mean, I get it. It was hard for me with my mom. It was really hard, because you love them and you care about them. But, there's a couple of things I always say. I mean, I've had this conversation 3 times this week. Okay. And the thing I always say is, how's your way working? And they're like, it sucks. And they're like, and honestly, it sucks for me, not for him. I can't sleep. I'm freaked out. Every time the phone rings, I'm jumping through the roof. He's fine. I'm like, right. So let's change that equation. And the way we change that equation is by you taking care of you. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I tried Al-Anon. And like I said, I didn't say go to Al-Anon. You know, I said, why don't you, start seeing a therapist that specializes in what we're talking about? And why don't you start looking at some 12-step stuff? And, I mean, generally, to be totally blunt, Jay, that's when the excuses start. Well, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, well, you asked for my advice. I've been doing this over 30 years. This is the best way to handle this. And if you don't want to, that's cool. It's just like talking to the alcoholic. Oh, okay. Well, you just keep doing what you're doing and you let me know when you're ready. I'm here whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's, and this just popped in my brain, and I can only come through the addict's point of view, but I mean, through my struggles and kind of cycle, like, I mean, all these things that I now have implemented in my life were brought up to my attention, and I just quickly dismissed them as, oh, they don't work. AA doesn't work, or, therapy doesn't work. And I'm not, this is just in general. Do you think, because I get it, and working with families are very quick to point out what's not working. Do you honestly think families, just in a general statement, and this has nothing to do with that question, but do you think in general, how do I say this, families aren't really doing what you're kind of, like Al-Anon? Do you think people really truly go all in on Al-Anon and they just dismiss it after one meeting? And I'm not trying to make light of families, but I think from my standpoint, I was really, really quick to say that doesn't work. In reality, I went to one AA meeting, didn't, boom. So I don't know if there's a question in there, but I think families don't necessarily go all in and they're just quick to dismiss. Is that right?
Yeah, and I understand where they're coming from. They're like, they're still coming to you and me and saying, how do we fix him?
Yeah.
And our response is, you don't. You got to fix yourself and go here. And they're like, what else do you got? Because you didn't hear me. I need to know how to fix him. And I'm like, that's just not how this works. And if I had the ability to manage and control your loved one, I'd be a billionaire. Unfortunately, that's not how this works. Now, I do know that the single most effective way of dealing with that is to change you. And if you change you, he has to change, because if all of a sudden you start answering him differently with boundaries and accountability and structure, he's going to be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Why aren't you caving in? Why aren't you doing what I tell you to? Why aren't you, when I start screaming at you at the phone, why are you hanging up? It's your job to listen to me screaming and telling me what a horrible parent you are. Like, no, it's not. That's not my job at all, Yeah. But it's hard for them to conceptualize that I actually changed the deal. It really is hard. And I get it. I totally get it. But yeah, and I'm not saying that they're being flaky. I mean, some are, but others are like, they're so freaked out that they're looking for the Xanax, what's the Xanax? How do I feel better now? And I'm like, well, unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's real. I mean, I get family calls, and moms and dads, and they're worrying themselves, crazy. And we have this other one that's kind of in the same lines. It says, why do I feel angry more than I feel sad? And basically she was going and saying, like, I feel really, really sad for my daughter, but it just comes out as anger, and we are no longer really able to even, communicate, because the sadness and the fear, they say, just comes out as anger. And that's normal, I think, for any family.
It's normal for anybody, is that, because here's the thing, this is something I learned a long time ago, that, behind anger is fear, right? I mean, I always like to say, when I get afraid, I get angry. And when I get angry, I like to share. I want everyone to know how I feel, and because I'm a people person, And when you trace that back, I mean, and this is literally just through doing 12-step inventory work, fourth step inventory work, and then realizing that when I get angry, it's because I'm scared, and it's because there's something I'm not willing to look at. I mean, you want to take it down. I'm going to take it down to the final notch, as my old friend David Huff in Broomfield, Colorado says. What part of your life are you struggling with, Kevin? Oh, I'm struggling with finances. Well, that's the part you're not willing to trust God with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the ultimate answer. There is no, that's it. It's, I'm freaked out. It's because I don't trust God. At the end of the day, I don't trust God that I'm going to be okay. And I have to intervene. It's the same thing with the families. Which is why I'm such a pushy guy about doing 12-step work, whether it's Al-Anon, ACA, CODA, whatever. I don't care. I just want you to go, and I want you to actively work the 12 steps, because then you'll see the change, and you'll feel the change inside yourself, and so will your person.
Yeah.
That really makes the difference.
And the community in itself. I mean, and I know families, some go to Al-Anon. I mean, then they hear the word sponsor and steps, and they just, but I think there's a lot of avenues. But I mean, more than anything, there's, let them know that they're not alone in this. I go to recovery meetings for that community aspect. I mean, I do the 12 steps and try to practice these recovery principles on a day-to-day basis to the best of my ability. But I think families would be, if they went all in, I think they would be shocked to find, if they found a group they enjoyed and whatever fellowship we were talking, there's not one particular thing, but I think that they would be surprised if they did the, home group, the sponsor, the steps, the opening up. I think they'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten this. We get this through the years that we've done it, but I always like it. Ultimately, let's boil this down to, let's say moms, dads, loved ones. They want to hold out hope that things will change, and that Johnny, Sally will end up getting sober. And they struggle with, I think, the thing that they don't ever want to say out loud is they almost believe 100% that they'll never get better. And they want to hold out this, she calls it the fake hope, but, I don't know if there's a question in there, but I think families all say, I don't think you'll ever get better. I don't think very few say it out loud, but they're looking for, what do you do with this? I mean, can fake hope lead to real hope, I guess is the question.
Well, I call it chronic hope.
There you go. I did not even connect that. I would have teed it up better for you.
That's all right. So here's the thing, right? And I totally get where they're coming from. Let's take me, right? I got sober at 27, and my parents had to endure 14 years of crazy, and to think that someone's going to get sober and this is what, I mean, let's just say going to treatment or something, 30, 60, 90 days, even 6 months, and think that they're going to magically get all better. That's just not how it works. It takes, Dr. Anna Lemke, in her book, Dopamine Nation, says it, and she's the head of addiction studies at Stanford School of Medicine's Department of Psychiatry. She says it takes 18 to 24 months for the brain to get fully back online. And I would say that's probably 100% accurate from my experience. I was a year and a half, 2 years sober before I was like, hey, where'd all these people come from? And I was actively working the steps, I started making my amends, and doing my thing. I think I was almost 3 years, 2.5 years sober. And I, started really digging in, doing because I I was there, I was sober, I was going to work, I was doing all that, but I wasn't all there. My brain was still foggy, you know. And that's the thing, you got to be patient with these folks are is I mean, they may be sober, but they ain't there, you know. And you just got to give them a little grace and give them a little time and see the incremental change and hold them accountable. There's no free pass, you know. It's like, hey, you know, we're really happy you're 6 months or a year sober. Congratulations, yay team. And by the way, no, you're not coming here and dropping off your laundry, you know, and you're not coming over. This isn't the local diner, you know, and the local laundromat and the local whatever, you know. You know, we're here to support you. We love you. And you know, when we invite you, you're more than welcome, but you got to start getting your act together. You know, that's really how my parents kind of assessed me. Like, hey, we're so proud of you. We think you're so awesome, that you're doing such a great job. But, you know,
Yeah.
you stay over there. and it took a couple of 3 or 4 years before they were like, okay, this is for real.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I get it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I got an accountability group that I grew up, you know, in sobriety with. That are, you know, old timers and successful, and they always called it sleepwalking. But it's true because, you know, for the first, I would say, 2 years of my recovery, I was kind of in this small world. Like I had my meetings down, I had my sponsor, go to the coffee with the guys, the dinners, and, you know, it's whatever. And then there's always this joke that you know, at breakfast after our Saturday morning meeting one day, you know, like I said something, I don't even remember what it was, but it must have been insightful because someone said, and look at that, little Jay is awake finally. And so, but I like how you said it, like, and, you know, I did feel different. It wasn't just that saying, but it was like almost as if, you know, I'm in this small box and then all of a sudden the you know, the glass box just lifted and I had this whole world and new colors. And even when dealing with my family, I still remember I would get so upset, or, you know, my mom called and tried to be, you know, helpful and I took it wrong, and I'd run to my sponsor, and, you know, my sponsor would just kind of say like, hey, just do your best, you know, but, you know, there's a long way to go, and your mom and dad probably don't think that this is going to last even. So just keep doing what you're doing. And I think communication with family changed after 2-3 years. And I always say, like, I knew I made it when someone from my dad's country club called me and said, hey, my son's struggling. And I was like, how'd you get my number? And I was like, well, your dad said you struggled with it. I'm like, my dad said something about me struggling at his country club? Like, oh, I mean, and I, like, it brought a tear to my eye. I was like, oh my God, he acknowledged, you know. But I mean, it's little stuff like that. But at the same time, like, I think this is also, I say all that, you know, people struggling right now and hearing 18 months to 2 years to get their, you know, and they're just coming off of their favorite drug of choice. Like, that's a long time to, you know, to give up the, you know, the habit of going back to their only solution. I think that's why relapse is so common. So,
yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I mean, it's well, relapse is common because, you know, we tell people, oh, you're 30 days sober, you're ready to go back. And it's like, that's like somebody going to the gym for 30 days for the first time and saying, and now you're ready for the Olympics, you know? And it's like, what? You know, no, you know, let's, you know, and the thing you said too, and I always wanted to jump on this because I think this is super critical to answering the question, is what you said was you had your accountability group, you had your meetings, you had your rhythm, and then you went to breakfast and you were in the middle of the boat. Mm-hmm. And that, for my first 2 or 3 years, man, that's how I lived. You know, every night meeting, every weekend meeting, dinner, lunch, breakfast, ice cream, movies, you know, dances, parties, helping people move. I mean, I was in the middle of the boat, you know. I mean, relapse wasn't an option because I didn't have time. Yeah. You know, I mean, I just didn't have time. And that's that sense of community and belonging and being engaged, right, is how we survive this. You know, it's how we get through this. the guys, I mean, this is the old adage, right? That they told me when I got sober in LA. The guys that show up late to math class, sit in the back and flirt with the girls, they flunk. And, the water buffalo that don't sit in the middle of the pack, and when they're at the water hole that hang out in the back, they get eaten by the lions, and the alcoholics that show up late, sit in the back, flirt with the girls, and bail before the prayers, they drink.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Let's call those people Jays,
Well, I think, I don't know how the blessing, it's really funny. People always say, so you just walked into AA and it all got better. I'm like, well, on the first try, I'm like, yeah. Now, the 2 years before that, when I was trying to control my drinking, let's be clear. I was like, I gotta get this together. I gotta quit. I gotta get it. And I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I got harassed I still get harassed. In a sense, I had to move away from Dallas to stop being, but I joke because those meetings, like if I didn't go to a meeting, I got a call the next day from someone within that meeting and saying, hey, are you okay? Like what happened last night? And I better have a pretty good reason as to, whatever. Oh, I just sat on the couch, and, it provided, and I'll be the first to admit, there's sometimes I did not want to go to that meeting, and, I was like, screw it, I'm not going to go, I'm done, I can miss one. And then I started thinking, but they'll call me tomorrow. Like, oh, geez, man, Jay, just go, just go and show up to those coffee meetings. But there's accountability to that. And yeah, like, I don't know if I would have had all the things I had, that I wouldn't have just kind of, slept it off. So I was harassed, I won't press charges, but, I was harassed for the first 3 years of and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, that's how I grew up in recovery and I started doing that. Big time in my recovery is when I became like, all right, Jay, like here are 3 guys that didn't, make the meeting last night. Give them a call today. And I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know them. Well, yeah, you do, so I started and that goes back to the community. I joke when I say I'm harassed, but God, those are a group of guys that surrounded me, and here I am today. So
no, I got the same treatment, and this was before cell phones. I come home from work, there'd be 4 or 5 messages on my machine, like, yo, bro, where were you last night? Are you okay? Because they thought I was drinking.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I had a work event, or my car got repossessed. So, and they're like, well, then tell us, stupid, and we'll come get you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then I was sick. One time I was sick for like 3 days, and they're like, we thought you were dead. And I'm like, no, I'm sick. I really am sick. They're like, well, just call us and tell us that, because what it was they were saying, you're part of the family. And when you're not there, we have concern for you because you're part of the family. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Never experienced that before.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
So
let's do one more. And I just really love this one. And
all right.
I don't think we did it. It's way up on my list. And so, but I'll just play hypothetical here. And this is really, really good. And she's a fed up mom, I think a mom, but she ends it like this. So if we could look back 6 months from now and say, wow, we really grew as a family, what would you have suggested us to do 6 months ago, and what would have changed? Does that make sense?
Say that again.
So if say today they sit in front of you and say, hey, we want to dedicate 6 months. You say, do this for 6 months. They say, and they would say like, wow, we really grew as a family. What would have changed? What would you have suggested to them that they do today?
The family.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, I would suggest that everyone go to individual therapy. And I want to be really clear. This is really important. Not the therapist you've been seeing for the last 5 years. I want you to see a therapist that specializes in addiction, codependence, trauma, IFS, attachment theory, you got to zero in on the target, and you got to go after that. And so that would be number one. I'd want everybody to be, and I give them a reading list of things that I want them to look into.
Do you think changing up therapists?
Huge.
It is
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, not all therapists are alike, man. They're not all built the same.
Yeah.
And the therapist that you've been seeing for 5 years talking about your mother is not the one that you're going to talk to about your son who's, a cocaine addict or, smoking weed in the basement. It's too, you and I both know. I mean, that other therapist may be great. I'm not saying they're bad therapists, but that doesn't mean they're prepared to handle that. They don't know what to do with that. They don't know how to, they don't know how to set boundaries. They don't know how to hold people accountable, and so you need someone that's, been to the circus and understands what's up. And I got to tell you, when families follow my direction, like the Jaywalker, right? When the families that I'm working with and I say, hey, go see this therapist individually, oh my God, the change in that family is just immense, right? Because that person starts standing up and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. And everyone else has to be like, what?
That changing of therapists, I think, is really, really highlight in kind of all caps letters. So, keep going. You're doing good.
Well, but that would be the number one thing. Follow an educational, learn about addiction, learn about psychoeducation is what we call that. And I honestly feel some trauma therapy. And then I really do feel strongly about some 12-step work. For the families, for the individuals and the families.
And that could just be like reading the AA Big Book or like reading like recovery books. Is that, would you agree with that? Yeah,
sure. That's part of the homework that I assign at Jaywalker is the AA book. Part of it is because I want them to understand they read it and they're like, oh my God, that's my son. And I'm like, right, we got it. Now let's talk about you, and that tends to be the challenge. So.
Yeah. Well, I think people here that getting into, going to Al-Anon, going to, whatever, like we talked about it earlier this show, like get a sponsor, do the work and do the steps. And, that's great. And hopefully something clicks or you want to do it. Like we can start small with my suggestions. Just read the AA Big Book, read, the 12 steps and 12 traditions, like read daily, as Bill sees it, whatever it may be. And shockingly, sometimes that leads them to go and start getting into step work and maybe get an Al-Anon sponsor. So sometimes it's just opening the book and trying to see it through your loved one's eyes. And that big book, it's written in 1930s, whatever, but it comes to life no matter who reads it.
Oh, it's all, yeah. I get it. And I get people that are like, oh my God, it's, written by, old white Christian men. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You are right. It is. And it's misogynistic. it is so politically incorrect and not woke. Across the board. Oop, bad word. Sorry. But it is. And I'm like, and yet at the same time, it has saved millions of people's lives. And so maybe there's something in there that actually is of great value. And if you can get past the pronouns and hey, change them in your book. I don't care. Go crazy, but it's let's just take a look at the core of what they're offering and let's go from there.
Now, like I always say, like it's been told to me, like if you feel AA is a cult, then join the cult. So,
Amen.
So.
Yeah.
Alrighty, sir. You did well, so you can take the
Thank
rest
you.
of the day off. I think you brought it, but we'll do this each and every week and keep the questions coming. And if there's a topic, if there's something you want us to expand on, stories, whatever it may be, hey, we're here to help and be a resource. So anything helps, and keep the questions coming. Kevin, I will see you next week.
I look forward to it.